based on the research and the book, because you have done an amazing job to explain the mechanics and how everything works, but with that knowledge base, what do you think are some of the most important new questions to ask? Because there's so many stories going around. Obviously, a lot of it is related to climate and weather and temperature. But do you see anything from your research that makes us want to ask new questions and do new research to truly understand what we are getting ahead? Or is that very difficult to know?
So there are, I mean, there's always new questions in research. And in the ocean, actually, the biggest questions are still the most basic ones, which is, well, especially one in particular, which is how does the energy move around? So the energy in the ocean is either heat or there's some movement energy, there's water flow and water moving around. And it's a slightly technical point. It makes more sense after someone's read the book, I hope. But how that energy is distributed around the ocean, inside the ocean, is really important. And the reason it's important is not just about temperature, it's because energy can mix the ocean up. So the ocean has layers, and if you have energy, you can mix those layers up, and that effectively lets things move up and down in the water column. And so there are one of the biggest open questions in oceanography is that technical one. It's how does the energy move? Because we know the Earth is that the ocean is this enormous reservoir of energy on Earth, but we can't see exactly where it all is, and we're still trying to understand the details of how the little bits move around. Whether it's a small number of big mechanisms that are responsible for moving the energy around, or whether it's just lots of little different things that move energy up and down. So there's some technical questions that oceanography has like that. And of course, they're important for the weather and things up on land, because if the ocean moves energy downwards, then it moves it away from the surface. And it's the surface temperature that generally matters for us. And then, of course, there are big questions about how the ocean will drive the climate in the future, because the climate, the weather of Earth is largely set by energy that comes from the ocean. And if it changes, then our weather patterns will change. And so we need to understand the processes going on underneath the surface to understand, because we just sort of see the flat top of the engine where there's all these three-dimensional processes turning underneath. So these questions about how exactly the engine will turn in the future, how exactly the water is going to move in the future, and what kind of energy, where it's going to move energy around to and from, those are very big questions. And we have some outline answers, but we don't have all the details. And part of the reason for that, it's not that we're not working hard on it, it's that every year you only get 1 year of data, right? It's the ocean the engine flows slightly differently every year, but you can only measure 1 year at a time. So when we only started measuring some of the details of the North Atlantic, for example, 20 or 25 years ago. So we've only got 25 years of data. We can't collect any extra years. And so to understand the difference between a slow trend, which is all going in one direction, and perhaps the slow natural variation where something might go up and then go down and then go up, we haven't got very many years to distinguish between sort of slow oscillations and a trend in one direction. And so, we're working on it, and we can be clever with how we use, so that the seafloor can act like a kind of library of the past, and we can look at that to see what's happened. But we have the problem that things are changing very quickly, but we don't have enough years of data to study all the details. And so it's a tricky bit of detective work, but there are big questions still to answer.